This is the Silk versus role playing game, Family Ties, Part 3. One thing I want to do as a bit of housekeeping is I did listen to the last session and I was listening to the answering of the end of session questions. And Gage, we decided that you were not getting credit for did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation? But in fact, you did in your verse that you wrote. That counts. And so you can take an XP for that. That occurred to me. I was like, oh, he should have gotten an XP for that. Excuse me. So that's the housekeeping bit. We have three active or we're going to have third active assignment. We have two active assignments right now, the Dusk Mother and the Floating Market. We've done nothing on the Floating Market, so there's really nothing to recap there. For the Dusk Mother, though, you have two questions that can be answered. Either could be answered, how is the angel bound to the skeleton family? Complexity 4 basically allows you to weaken it or drive it away or destroy it, therefore disrupting the cycle of dependency. So that the skeleton family might survive on their own again. And also presumably what the Bureau cares about is this angel stops terrorizing local industry. What purpose drives the angel? That is a complexity 6. Resolve the assignment by freeing the angel from the skeleton family and showing it something else it can protect. And that also gives you a special move. And so you currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 8 clues, one of which is kind of a floating clue that can be defined as you need it. And so I think we're in good shape to tackle one of these questions, right? Probably pretty early. The floating market, I'll sort of like reintroduce it once one of you goes there, just since we didn't touch it last time. So we'll leave that for now. And in terms of the conspiracy, we did learn a little bit about the conspiracy last time. And indeed, you have a couple of conspiracy clues now. And so we don't know much as players. You don't know anything about it as characters. And as players, we don't know too much except that we saw a person in a dilapidated manner surrounded by rot and fungal bloom, talking to someone, suggesting that the work you're doing might be helpful to the work that they need to do. And so that is what's going on there. Basically, with that, we know about a character called Gideon Marsh. We know something about an institution called the Sketterich Foundation, but we don't know too much beyond that. Taking a look at our custodians, quite a lot of conditions. The best way to clear them for everybody but Japheth is to do the journey phase, which I think we'll probably do today at some point. So, or to do the journey scene inside the journey phase. Are there any questions about anything, or anybody wants to be caught up on kind of what's going on with the characters right at this moment? Basically, you would all just come together and we're about to figure out how to take care of this stray angel problem in Weft. So that's sort of the basic gist of what's going on. And so if there's nothing else, I'm going to introduce a third assignment before we begin play. This assignment is called The Hungering Roots. The custodians are sent to investigate reports of unlicensed sacrifices taking place in a warehouse east of Glottage, or you will be. It seems that some ambitious producer of psychotropic tea ingredients has managed to imprison a harvest god in an indoor growing facility. Using a combination of hydroponics, automated lighting, and experimental prayer marks, they have found a way to continuously cycle a harvest ritual and maximize their production to vastly outpace their government-regulated competitors. But this god they have bound is accustomed to the domain of field and meadow, of rituals invoking the sun and moon instead of artificial lights and humidity-controlled rooms. It is growing rapidly and demanding greater sacrifices. I must pose this question to Gage. How do you know that such an entity will eventually find a way to break free and threaten the surrounding neighborhood?
I think it's like any living thing. It doesn't want to be constrained. You can try and keep your crops to one field, but the wind will carry it. Things grow, things stretch, and also as a member of as a custodian, they always get free. This is our job. This is what we do.
And so we have three questions that can be pursued here. How is the harvest god most vulnerable? It's complexity 4. It allows you to resolve the assignment by destroying or neutralizing this dangerous entity so it cannot grow back. What resources does this harvest god offer if appeased? A slightly different approach. Complexity 6, resolve the assignment by working with the growers to adapt their methods and establish a more sustainable operation that does not threaten the community. The most complex question is, where can this harvest god be safely transplanted? Complexity 8, resolve the assignment by breaking the god from its confines, allowing it to grow freely, and showing the local residents how to coexist with it. This approach unlocks a new move, the Mark of Quickening. You also have a verse available, the verse of the inevitable harvest. Each custodian describes a hope or dream they have of someday living in abundance with all their needs met. I do want to point out that you also have one of these assignment verses available on the Dusk Mother, and if you intend to use it at some point, you should do it pretty soon. So know that as well. And so, with all that said, do we want to go ahead and have a go at one of these Dusk Mother questions, or do we want to leave Weft and go check out these other two problems?
I think we should take a crack at it.
You
Definitely.
certainly should try. But as a point of gameplay, can we only answer questions regarding assignments in the location of the assignments?
No, you can answer a
Okay.
question whenever you want. Yeah, it's always kind of an out of character thing anyway, right? So, who has an answer for one of these questions that they want to pose?
I want to throw out a vibe and see if we can't scoop up some of these clues. What if the Dusk Mother just needs to mother things, right? It had some sort of young that it lost, and then the Skeletal family kind of became that replacement. And as its, duty to mother them has been feeding them and such and such and such. Anybody want to pick that up?
That being what purpose drives the angel.
Yes. We have so many clues. I guess we should probably go for the big question at 6, because 8's plentiful, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some sort of big egg we can redirect it to?
That seems like a terrible idea, actually.
um, I'm looking at the clues and just trying to figure out how it can take shape from that. I think it's the tricky thing. A lot of the clues are
About the nature of the angel and not necessarily its purpose.
yeah, and it's like the protecting of it and that type of thing, right? Like there's these effigies that are placed and watching from above. There's these hand painted signs that are, yeah, essentially saying like stay out of here. There's the wind chimes that are acting as an alarm.
I'm going to go make some coffee while you all discuss this. I am going to leave the recording going, though, so
Whoa.
that people can listen to your discussion.
Okay.
I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay, so if we're leaning in on the kind of nurturing mother angle, maternal angle. Maybe the wind chimes are not alarms per se. They function as alarms, but they're more like mobiles, like meant to entertain and enrich rather than just alert. Uh, Sister Quarrel having down and litter wedged in the tires of her bike could imply that the Dawn Mother's holding on of this infant stage of nurturing is affecting the world around. Like that's what you use in a nest. The nest is growing to include all of Weft.
Mhm.
That gets us to 3.
With the hand painted signs and effigies, it could just be the town is grateful and in their own sort of tiny worships are creating, like, the Dusk Mother's bringing them food. Does that make sense? Or like there's somehow a feeding relationship now that's starting to encompass all of Weft, and they're grateful, so they keep putting up signs of like, nope, Dusk Mother, we're all good here. Kind of like, is it kind of an FU to the Chitterling factory?
Could it be, to kind of even simplify it, could it just be that it's like a reflective, like they're reflecting the behavior of the thing that's taking care of them?
Sure.
And so they are sort of like, they are taking these, yeah, these mothering aspects, and then that's kind of how they're being disciples of the mother in a way, is to reflect that like motherhood of that sort of like watching and yeah, somewhat literal helicopter parent.
So to try to redirect this thing, is there a way to convince the town of Weft that this Dusk Mother needs to become their new roadside attraction? Like they build a nest for it right in the middle of town. People can stop by and pay 50 cents and feed the Dusk Mother themselves, sort of like a little feeding zoo.
Well, maybe that the Dusk Mother is so focused on the skeleton family. I'm looking at the resolution now. I feel like that's what you're leaning towards here.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like essentially like this is so like convoluted in a way, but like the Dusk Mother has been very focused on mothering the skeletons, and we're seeing these signs of like Dusk Mother has plenty of mothering to give, and the rest of the town wants that mothering. Maybe that's what the effigies and the signs and that type of thing are indicating.
Yeah.
And so to kind of tying into what you're suggesting there, Brian, ultimately our solution is that the Dusk Mother should protect the entire town as opposed to just obsessing over the skeletons.
Right. And can we, as custodians, whether we truly have this authority or not, convince the town of Weft that this is now a licensed, authorized being, as long as they just give it the offal that comes out of the byproduct of the Hopworth plant, so that it's sated, the town feels protected, it feels like it has somebody to mother, a large group to mother.
Hmm.
And we, convince people it's now authorized and scoot out of town.
So this is also a good thread because the final 2 clues we have are hog feed and a pig's foot. But we've also got the open clue, something from the conversation with the meat packers. Um, so we could use that as essentially the key that makes you're talking about like you have to feed the Dusk Mother hog feed, I guess.
Yeah, like the meat packers are like, that
Yeah.
it's been stealing cattle and live pigs, but we could just give it these barrels of byproduct that we've got.
Oh yeah, like they're just complaining about it. They're like, I don't understand why the bosses just don't give them the byproduct instead of like taking the live stuff. We got piles of it here. Um, something like that.
So, in summary, we're saying that the Dusk Mother has been taking from the plant to feed the skeletons, and that's why this plant is all up in arms about it. We want to redirect the Dusk Mother to the town of Weft because Weft is showing signs of like, but pay attention, care for us, we want to be special too.
Mhm.
And so to do that, we're going to suggest that the Chitterling factory take their byproduct, lure it to town, and then the Dust Mother just is in the center of town now.
Hopworth factory, but yeah.
Okay. I don't know if the Dusk Mother is doing much mothering in that regard, but I think that that does give us an awful lot with the clues.
Um, do you want a gross suggestion based on what you said at the beginning of what you were saying, Sarah? Is you were saying that the Dusk Mother is taking stuff from the plant to feed the skeletons. What if it
Mhm.
is like a bird kind of thing and feeding baby birds kind of thing? And so the Dusk Mother is going to feed the town the chitterling stuff, but needs to like eat it herself and then just kind of
Mm,
regurgitate it for them. So
mhm.
they got this fun little,
Interactive roadside attraction.
yeah, that too.
Another reason I brought up the roadside idea. Remember the parked car with the headlights pointing at its nest?
It was
If
not
this
parked.
becomes
It was crashed and
well, I'm sorry,
dragged into a tree.
park in the tree.
Parked.
Fair enough.
Have you ever seen Brian park a car?
I've been
I'm using the word park
very
very generously. The car that was in the tree with the headlights pointing at the nest, if uh, as a roadside attraction, people drive up with their cars and aim their headlights at the nest of the beast, it sort of becomes this I don't know, feels like home and keeps it captive or something.
Where is I stepped into the middle of this. So who wants to catch me
summarized Buddy
up?
Virginia.
Yes, who wants to catch me up? What are we thinking? It sounds like
Um,
you're trying to answer the second question, or no, the first question. No, the second
the
question.
second, yeah, what
Yeah.
purpose? I
Um,
think we've got a pretty good thing going.
I mean, I think if you answer the purpose, the resolution comes naturally, right? Like, I mean, there's
Hmm.
it's just answering the purpose is the key thing there, and like,
Yes.
so what do we think that is their deal?
Ben, you had the initial pitch and the initial set of clues. Do we just kind of like wanna replay what we just talked through?
Sure. Basically, what we've been discussing is that the purpose that drives the angel is maternal care, nurturing, and the way we have justified this is that, well, for example, the handmade wind chimes that might serve the purpose as alerting people to its movement, they actually are more like mobiles to entertain and enrich. And the down and litter are pieces of the nest that is spreading out and being caught in places like Sister Coral's bike. The mother starting to act as a guardian to more of West than just the skeletons is along those same lines. I can't remember what we said about the pig's foot.
So that was where we get into the like feeding. So she's been going to the plant and taking the angels and the pigs and that type of thing and feeding them back to the skeletons. Um, like like a mama bird would like feed back. Um, and the this kind of like comes around to the end. So yeah, like there's ooh, this is the tricky thing, is that it's a little bit focused on the resolution. Let's let's cover those hand painted signs in the so the rest of the town jumping off the mother has started to act as a guardian to more of Weft. Is that the rest of the town wants that mothering from the Dusk Mother. But like she's sort of like obsessed with the skeletons. So they're sort of like reflecting that sort of that mothering behavior in a way. So they're setting up these effigies that are like stand-ins for the Dusk Mother essentially. They are trying to like create these sort of like these signs to indicate that the mother protects them, even though she's like very focused in on the skeletons themselves. Um, and yeah, our big thought towards the end in tying together these like hog feed ones was that there's plenty of this byproduct from the plant to go around, that the Dusk Mother could mother the entire town if the plant like just let her take these like, yeah, these
Oh,
little
this is
bits
interesting.
and feed
So,
everyone.
so it sounds to me like what you're all saying, or what you've arrived at, is it's not that the Dusk Mother is starting to act as a mother for the whole town. It's more that they want her to. And so they're doing things to try to lure this angel to them, hanging up like the mobiles to show that like we are like children, to um imitating how she feeds her children to show like either what they want or what they desire from her. um the effigies, that's really interesting, because it does answer the question. Fundamentally, what drives the angel is the desire to mother, and the clues seem to indicate, I mean, that's pretty, it almost seems like, I mean, it almost seems obvious really in some sense. But what I think the deeper thing going on in the town, which speaks to the resolution, is the town wants the the angel's attention, like not just for the skeletons.
Yeah, they want what the skeletons have.
So I guess the thing that I'm trying to sort out is, why is the angel attacking the meat processing plant and terrorizing the workers at the meat processing
Wasn't it going
plant?
for
That's why
the
bias is
larger
here.
livestock? I thought it was aiming for essentially the larger livestock and pulling those away, almost like a bird of prey
Yeah,
would.
it is. Yeah. It's like,
And
yeah, it's like,
so
yeah.
I think our broader solution here is we essentially convince Hopworth Industries to fund the establishment of a nest in town. It can say at the bottom, proudly supported by Hopworth Industries. The Dusk Mother goes there. They bring the offal, the byproduct from meat processing. So it's getting the little pig's feet and the stuff that people don't want to eat. It ingests it, and
feeds
then
the town.
townsfolk and tourists line up
So
so the
gross.
Dusk Mother can vomit right into their throat, and they feel they've had a divine moment with this god, or this angelic being that is, now licensed.
I
She's
feel
been
like,
attacking
yeah.
the plant to feed the skeletons, essentially.
Yeah, okay, so I think you have this like undefined clue, and this undefined clue might be the clue that kind of really brings this home. I feel like, if because you've made a good case for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these clues so far. I think that the undefined clue, since Mike, you get to put a really put your own editorial spin on that clue. What you overheard from the factory workers might help here.
The thing that we were talking about while you were gone was the factory workers are complaining about the fact that the Dusk Mother keeps attacking the plant, but they've got all of this byproduct that they could just be giving the Dusk
Oh,
Mother.
I see. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be this animosity, this like antagonistic relationship. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. That's great use of that clue. Um, what about Dennis
Back to the
Rigsby and the
chitterling
severed
feed.
pig and the chitterling feed and the severed pig's foot? I mean, do those mean anything? Do they speak to
Yeah,
the
the idea
mothering
of the
thing?
pig's foot was it's one of the pieces of byproduct that the plant's not really selling.
Oh, so it's like they've already had this idea, and maybe like Dennis Rigsby was like trying to test it out or something, or like,
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Dennis had it in his pocket to like take it
yeah,
into town and see if it works.
yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And then for me, the Sacco hog feed with rapid regrowth for, guaranteed, it's just sort of like, how do we expand the protein packet in this town and feed more with less?
Does it speak to the idea that the angel wants to the angel has like a really overpowering but currently distracted mothering instinct? I mean,
think for us, when we were talking about it, it was just kind of, yeah, that it's centering around the like hog feed and the plant and that type of thing. This idea of like, yeah.
I think the
sustenance
operative
being
part of this
passed
clue is the
around.
fact that it's a spilled sack, right?
Hmm.
Like that feels like the important part of that clue, like the fact that it was spilled and found in a certain place.
Where was it found? I don't remember that.
Did Gage find it at the Skelton house?
I don't think so.
I don't remember where it was found.
Could
I
this just
yeah.
could this just also be more of Dennis Rigsby's like outreach? Like they're literally
Oh,
trying
Dennis Rigsby's attempts. Oh,
mechanisms.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
That's
spill
good.
all this feed
Yeah,
out here and see
yeah.
if we can get a dust mother to show
I
up.
like that. That's good.
Eating the
Okay,
wild.
so let's summarize. What drives the Dusk Mother is this like powerful sense to literally mother, presently desired by the community, but being totally occupied and dominated by the skeletons right now. And so I think this is I think you've made a good case with all these clues. We just need to roll these dice and see how it goes. It's going to be a +1, whoever wants to do it.
Mike?
Doesn't seem
I'll-
good.
I'll do it.
No,
What'd
it's
you get,
on the
Mike?
table. It's a
What'd you get?
4.
Oh
It's a 4.
Oh.
Okay.
no.
So this is wrong, and I will make a strong reaction unless you all want to write verses. You do have the free verse, so one of you can take advantage of that.
You worked so hard at this, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to write a verse.
I'm good to write a verse here.
There we are.
We get those first 2 on the table anyway.
Does someone want to mark the verse of the Dreaming Nest?
May I?
Go for it.
I
Works for me.
will.
Verse of the Dreaming Nest says, each custodian recalls a time they insulated themselves from the cruel uncertainties of the outside world and what gave them solace in the darkness. So be thinking of that. And what's everyone else marking?
I got the Whispered Psalm.
I think I'll just go with a verse of history.
Yeah, I'm doing a verse of history also.
That puts your result up to a 7 to 9. Let's take a look at our moves. Answer question 7 to 9. You're correct. You can pursue the opportunity, but the keeper will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. Here's the unwelcome complication. The unwelcome complication is that Ridley Hemsworth has decided to take matters into his own hands, and having been following all of your progress, now knows where the nest is of the angel, and Ridley's a hunter. He intends to shoot the angel dead. And so that is something that's going to have to be dealt with in the middle of all this. So, what's the plan?
Well, Zeph can show the crew where the nest is and walk back towards into the woods, find the truck. Maybe the headlights are still on.
Yeah, and you have the map too. Like you were able to triangulate, figure out the exact tree where the nest is. And indeed, it's not easy to see from the ground, but up in the high branches of these very tall trees in this wood. What was the name of the forest? I've already forgotten. I thought it had a name. Maybe it doesn't.
Clutching Woods.
The Clutching Woods, yeah. These very tall trees in the Clutching Woods. if you look up into the canopy, you can see in some particularly high up branches, you can see what appears to be a bunch of it's a nest in the sense that it's made of a bunch of like refuse, but it's not twigs and hay and stuff like that. It is it's bits of rebar. It is chunks of concrete. It is lumber from the lumber mill. It is maybe even like, you know, like sacks of chitterling feed, you know, shredded and woven through. It is probably getting to be sundown by the time you are making this trip over there. And you'll see the shadow of the Dusk Mother Angel breaking through, breaking up the pink light of sunset, and alighting very softly in the nest. You can make out that it is, it's just a really big bird, basically, is what it boils down to, but quite black. What at first appears to be a shadow of the angel, you realize, in fact, is the angel. And it's an enormous bird. If it were above you, its wingspan would probably be, you know, 15, 20 feet. And then you see Ridley Hemsworth, hunting fatigues, vest, rifle. He says, "Shh, I'm going to take care of this problem once and for all." And he's kind of raising his gun. "I appreciate your help leading me to it. We don't need this thing. The people of Weft are fools. Absolute fools to think that we need this angel to go about our lives when there are gods not above the earth but beneath it that better serve us." And here you will notice Ridley has bits of spore around his mouth, around his tear ducts. This is a writhes beneath the loam versus the Dusk Mother kind of situation for control over Weft, for control of the hearts and minds of the people of this place. What do you all do?
I think Gage will kind of take a limping step forward and say, "Now, Mr. Hemsworth, you don't want to do nothing too rash here. Don't want to upset something like this."
Zeph is quietly making their way behind him.
Ridley says, "Don't take this the wrong way, but this is a matter for us, for the locals, not from folks from the government. We can handle our own business here. And it's true, we didn't raise this matter in any kind of town meeting. I am sort of taking the initiative on this. But the people of Weft will realize in time that the God that truly cares about them is the one that wants to be inside them."
I think Gage is going to give Zeph a little look, just a minute shake of his head, and say, "Mr. Hemsworth, you and I, we've seen a lot out here. We're men of the land, and you know, you don't just go upsetting nature, ecosystems like this. You can't just shoot it."
I'll give you a chance to talk him down, Gage. Let's take a look at your conditions right now, though. I mean, I don't think either of these things are going to affect you negatively. This is going to be presence. Veiled move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Oh, he's just gonna shoot at the bird, and the bird's gonna get real upset.
Let's get dice on the table, see how you do. And then if you need a fallback, Zeph is there, I suppose.
Does my one bite is never enough, since I had given him a snack, do I still get that advantage?
Let's see here. When you offer a treat to a side character on a hit, they're put at ease. Any follow-up rolls, yeah. So you do indeed.
That is a 10.
Nice. You have control of the scene.
I think Gage is just gonna take a couple steps forward with his hands out and say, Mr. Hemsworth, we gotta do this the right way. That's why we're here. This is our job. You gotta let us handle it. And he's just gonna slowly put his hand on the barrel of the gun and start pushing it down.
I think what I would like at this point is to do the resolution of this assignment in a sort of round of narration. I also think it would be great if you all narrated the various verses that you owe. Everyone owes the assignment verse, and some of you have individual verses as well. Let's take a 5-minute break so you can think about these things. We'll come back and be thinking about, like, probably the next day or the next couple of days, establishing the new routine for the Dusk Mother Angel in Weft and kind of what that looks like. And indeed, you can even like stretch forward into the future a little bit to show how the community is affected and what Weft's outcome is at the end of all this.
Jason, let me ask a quick question.
Yeah.
For Japheth the Poxmartyr to remove a condition, one of the things is to narrate a scene where I listen to the troubles of a side character and offer them counsel. Can I kind of wrap that in with my part of?
Oh, I like it.
resolving
Yeah,
this?
I'm totally into that. Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
Yeah, and
I think I'll have a scene
if you
with,
can justify clear your condition, I'll let you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good. Let's take 5. Before we kick this off, it occurs to me that last move that Gage should have done should have been a revelation move because of the presence of Wraths Beneath the Loam. Didn't change the outcome at all. The outcome would be the same. But in case anyone's watching the video wondering, why didn't Jason trigger the revelation move instead of the veiled move? I am also wondering that, viewer. So who wants to kick off, either with one of their verses or with narrating a bit of the resolution of the assignment?
I will start things out. Zeph has a ball of feathers, and inside those feathers there are grubs. And so I imagine, especially with my embrace condition from my last encounter with this angel, that Zeph is just like holding it above their head and going, trying to get this angel to come down so we can lure it to town. I can also do my verse if you like.
Please do. Which one are you doing?
I am doing the verse of the Dusk Mother. I don't remember what it's called.
That would be the verse of the Dreaming Nest.
So to narrate a time that Zeph insulated themselves and found comfort. So we see Zeph a little bit younger than they are now, who has managed to steal or scrape together enough money to take a room at a dilapidated motel in the middle of nowhere just to have a room for a night. They have running water. They ignore the looks from the clerk as they check in, and a couple of hours and asleep in a real bed. And we see Zeph take a long, long shower, and they have prayer mark tattoos along their arms that we can see just from the camera perspective. And when they finally relax enough to sit on the bed and just be clean, so exhausted, but instead unrolls their altar in front of them, sitting cross-legged on the bed, and you can see all of these different bones from quite possibly any number of animals. Some have been sharpened to a point, and Zeph dips the pointed end in a pot of something and begins to stick and poke a new prayer mark tattoo on their forearm before finally collapsing to sleep.
Thank you. Let's go next.
All right. So as part of our solution here and part of my trying to clear a condition, Japheth is back in that diner where he bumped into Dennis Rigsby initially, and chatting with Rigsby again. Mentions the pig's foot and says, you talked about your troubles at the industry. It's at Hopworth, and that predation by that wolf, as you called it. And have you thought about all that byproduct that you all don't use, much like the pig's foot in your pocket? I think there's a way you could kind of make use of that and redirect the attentions, almost like a spectacle in the center of town, like bring the wolves in and feed them the offal there. And I think Hopworth Industries could make a penny off of it. Like, this might be a promotion for you if you play it right. And so, we go back and forth for a while, me trying to convince them this is his idea
Yeah.
rather than my idea, and that he should take it forth to Hopworth Industries. So that's I don't know, my explanation of some of the clues, and then also
Yeah.
trying to
Assisting a side character in a task without accepting payment. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Which condition do you want to clear? And here, I don't think you have to really make too much of a close
Okay, I was gonna say that, how
fictional
much-
connection, because it's just the Poxmartyr saying, bravo.
Yeah. How about this?
Let me ease your pain.
Just because it's cute for the narrative, I'll kind of Reverend John say, I healed up pretty good, by the way. This really, that thing with Sister Coral doesn't really hurt too much. How's she doing, by the way? Are you two back in touch?
And I think at that point you'll see Sister Quarrel. You'll hear as her motorcycle pulls up to the front of the of the diner, and she revs it a couple of times, and Dennis says, "Oh yeah, things are fixed up between us." And he gets up and he thanks you for the idea. He thanks you, and he's like, feeling good about this idea, and he goes out to meet her.
That's terrific. Do you want me to do my verse right now, or
If you want to,
later?
go for it. Yeah.
Sure. All right, so I'm doing the verse of history, the flashback to childhood, showing my first direct encounter with a god. This is going to come to me as we're leaving the town of Weft. We're going to be going down a road. There's a mailbox, and the combination of the tires on the gravel and that particular mailbox reminds me of a similar moment in childhood when I was walking home from school. And, we weren't wealthy, but I was fortunate in that I had shoes. They were hand-me-downs. They were someone else's shoes that had been passed on to me. But I had shoes, and walking home, and the sole detached from the shoe, one of the shoes. But I just kept walking because there was nothing else to do. Couldn't fix it. And walking on the gravel, eventually that foot started to bleed, and I was leaving like a bloody footprint, a shoed footprint, bloody footprint, shoed footprint. And as I passed this mailbox, kind of checked, lifted my foot up to check, got blood on my hands, was trying to check my other foot, got blood on the mailbox. And then I heard this lapping noise, and I looked back behind me, and there was this dark goat lapping up the blood in the footsteps, kind of following behind me, lapping up some more blood, following behind, lapping up more blood. and I could see it was trailing some barbed wire itself, like there was some wire wrapped around its fur, kind of caught in its skin. That it too had been leaving little trails of blood, and I went to approach it, and instead it shot off into the woods.
I love it. Fantastic. Who wants to go next?
I will go next because I think it connects into that. So we see a large barn, kind of a fairground style barn, dirt floor. It's all sort of opened up, and there's like late middle school kids sort of just kind of like wandering around, like if they're on a field trip. There's some that are sitting kind of cross-legged on the ground, just tired. Some kind of huddled together, and you see that they're all kind of like fiddling with these tattoo machines that have like they're all like they have individual numbers like one. As if they've been like cataloged and used in some type of academic curriculum. And uh, a pen opens. Oh, and we also hear like the snorts of hogs around them, and a pen opens, and an instructor walks in, and these just massive hogs like come in and are mingling with the kids. And what we notice that's a little bit odd about these hogs is that they've all been tattooed with those like the butcher's chart is tattooed onto these hogs. Uh, and the instructor like hollers at the kids and is like, "Find your hog, kids! Now find your hog. It's time. Find it. Come on, Susie there. Basil, you get yours. Everybody get your hog." And we kind of cut to see they get their hogs, and what they're doing, and a young Basil included here, are tattooing recipes onto the hogs in each of these sections. And it must be, I think the instructor probably says, like, it's got to be something no one's ever eaten, no one's ever written down. Just let that Waxen Scrivener speak through you right now. And you see all of these kids with their tattoo guns, just tattooing these recipes onto these sections of the hog. And we probably see like a close up of this going on, and then we cut to just a butcher knife carving into the side of a hog. And as the camera pulls back, it's Basil, current day, preparing some Dusk Mother chum, getting a particular recipe together. And I think maybe even this is at Hopworth Industries, and Dennis Rigsby has arrived, and Basil is talking to him and is like, it was very interesting what you were doing with the feed. I think that we can mix some of that in. If you can grab some of those entrails over there, let's mix this all up. I think I'm onto something for this angel.
Nice, thank you. Gage, you want to have a go?
Yeah, I think we see Gage having, through a window at the Hopworth plant, Gage is having a rather spirited discussion with probably the foreman or the manager, someone there, and Gage is trying to cut a bargain to make sure that this goes well. He's willing to ensure that there's a little bit of promotional consideration from Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth. Just a little bit of sponsorship to get some people in, drive up the numbers, make sure it's worth everybody's while. He just needs just a small little favor first. He just needs to leave a couple prayer marks here and there so Mr. Crunchtooth knows where to visit. And he'll make sure that they are compensated more than adequately with all sorts of goodies, even stuff that hasn't hit the shelves yet. And he'll wander out of the office after a moment, big smile, and to hit my verse, We see teenage Gage sitting in the living room of a farmhouse. He's wrapped in a large blanket with a handheld radio nestled in his lap, playing just the most morose maudlin songs you could imagine. His mother takes a seat next to him. She says, "Your pop said you got your heart broken." Gage looks at her briefly, his mouth set in a deep frown. His mom nods and lets out a slow breath. "Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Nothing lasts forever. And soon enough, you'll find this pain to be a little easier to bear. Heart's not broken, just a little bruised. Soon enough, these memories will be fertilizer, help something new grow forth." Gage says it all just comes right back to the field, doesn't it? And she says, "That's life, Gagey. Ends and beginnings. Trick is honoring the ends while not closing yourself off to the beginnings. Come on, what you need is some good honest work to get your mind on something else." She takes him out to the field, past the field and to a barn where an older man is bound and gagged and tied to a post. Gage's step stutters and his mother looks at him and she says, "Most folks just reap the rewards, but it's an honor to play a part in the sacrifice. He feeds us, we feed him. Don't fault it." Gage nods, still uncertain, and together they carry the man, ignoring his muffled cries and pleas as they bring him to the field. His mother draws her sickle across the man's throat, letting his blood pour out in great gouts into the rich soil of the field. When the blood stops coming, they bury him together. His mother looks on with pride as Gage finishes patting down the dirt. "I think it's time for him to meet you properly," she says.
Nice, thank you. And so I just want to get a sense of what the future looks like for Weft. Like, what is the day-to-day business of these people going forward now that you all have come up with this plan? Like, are they getting like directly fed by the mother like the Skeltons were? Like, what is going on here?
I love the idea that it's like a public drinking fountain.
Oh, so gruesome.
That's exactly what I was picturing. Yeah, people swing by in the morning, and
They just open their mouths and this
vomit it in.
bird just vomits out meat slurry into their mouths. It spatters on their eyes and faces and they lap it up.
And of course, there's the perhaps unintentional side effect is that we do put a little dip in the business of the local diners because people are getting food elsewhere.
Oh, you do such good work, custodians. The Bureau is probably so proud of you. That concludes the Dusk Mother. You'll get rewards and things in a bit. We're going to end up going to the journey phase. The journey phase will have more opportunities to dive into these characters as characters, and a couple of you still have verse things to do. I think I just want to know at this point, like, where are you all headed? You now have 2 other assignments that you can go to. Are you all splitting up? Are you like, what's happening here? What's the deal?
Zeph is definitely headed to the market.
Very good. So Zeph is going towards the floating market. I think it's probably fair to say that maybe like whoever doesn't take the car maybe takes the bus or something. I don't know, or I don't know how you'll have to decide also who's taking the car and who's relying on some other kind of transportation. So if you split up, Basil, which one do you want to work on?
I'm technically okay with either one. I was eyeing the floating market. I think if Gage, I feel like Gage might be headed to the Hungering Roots, and it might be interesting to get Basil and Gage together. So,
Gage, are you feeling Hungry Roots?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he is a little bit of an expert in that field, no pun intended.
Haha. Well, Japheth, are you going to leave Zeph to their own devices at the floating market and go with Basil and Gage, or are you going with Zeph?
No, I'll go along to the floating market. That's fine.
Very well. So the way this works, we are now going to move into the journey phase. The journey phase triggers, and indeed you are in the journey phase whenever you go from one assignment to another assignment, okay? And You can have some custodians in journey phase while others are in investigation phase. So, for example, if somebody had left last session while you were still working on, while some people stayed behind to work on Duskmother, only the people who left would be in the journey phase. And so the journey phase memorializes travel, which is a big part of this setting and the audio drama that the game is based on. And it is a chance to go deeper on the characters. It's a chance to have more intimate conversations with the characters. It's a chance to see how the characters blow off steam, and maybe they're a little introspective. Also, it's an opportunity to learn more about the world, right? And so we are going to be exploring and examining different parts of this setting while we travel through them. Now, if you're familiar with the Between and Brindlewood Bay, etc., not Brindlewood Bay, Public Access in the Between, they have like in the Between, you have the unseen, right? And you do all the unseen prompts, in between, as you're doing your night phase. The four of you I know that very well. This is a little different. It's kind of like the unseen, except you don't do all the prompts at once. Basically, every time you travel and you're doing that particular journey scene, then you do like the next part of it. So what it is you get to kind of see that element of the setting like grow over time and change over time, right? Every time your custodians travel through the land. And because we have two different groups traveling to different places, that's going to put two journey scenes in play during this journey phase. And so I think we're going to do, for Japheth and Zeph, for your journey phase, your journey scene is going to be a roadside diner. Gods must feed, but everyone gets hungry. Diners and cafes of every sort can be found scattered along even the least traveled roads of the peninsula. The way this works is I will name the diner, and then each diner has 4 paint the scene questions, which you each do one of them in order to establish what kind of goes on at this diner. Also, I will present what's called a recall a time prompt. This is a prompt that the players in the journey scene can use to inspire their role play in the scene. You don't have to, but it's just there if you wanted to. And so our roadside diner for this journey scene is going to be the Butter Princess. That is going to be your roadside diner. So we have these paint the scene questions. I'm going to clip them and paste them in the chat for all of you, but I'll read them aloud for people watching the video. Let's get this going here. Oops, that did not work. Let's try that again. I don't know why it won't let me drag that over there. That's kind of annoying. Okay, instead, I will just paste the text. Okay, the first prompt is going to be for Sarah to answer in the Butter Princess. What notable iconography or decor stands out to you? The second is going to be for Brian. What special is featured on the menu at the Butter Princess? The third is going to be for Mike. What quirky diner tradition do the locals maintain here? And finally, for Ben, what rumor have you heard about the owner of the Butter Princess? And for Sarah and Brian, your recall a time, if you wish to use it to inspire your scene, is going to be what escapades of your youth brought you to a late night diner? That is going to be the focus of your journey scene. Now, I think it's probably helpful here to talk about the journey move. Journey phases have journey scenes, and within the journey scene, you can trigger the journey move. The journey move says, while traveling to another assignment, when you and at least one other custodian share a scene where you discuss your personal history or relationship to divinity, you each clear a condition. Caveat on that for Brian's character. Then stumble on a clue. Custodians in the scene should tell the keeper what the clue is and how they came across it. The clue cannot conclusively answer a question by itself. Alternatively, if you were traveling alone, you would be able to engage your personal ritual to clear a condition. But since you're not alone, you can't do that. So that's basically the deal. Now, I should point out here that Japheth de los Santos, Japheth's move, let it pass unto me, makes it so that you cannot clear your own conditions with the journey move. Instead, you may perform your personal ritual during the journey move to discover a clue for an ongoing assignment. Tell me what it is. The clue cannot conclusively answer a question by itself. So what it's at stake in this journey scene is you're going to have this scene. Zeph can clear a condition from that scene. Japheth, you can then describe your personal ritual, like what you do for your personal ritual, and together and there's going to be 2 clues that come out of this. So you're going to be going to the assignment, or to, presumably to your assignment with 2 clues in hand. So, so a lot to think about. Before we take a break, I want to introduce the other journey scene for Basil and Gage Wright. You're getting a journey scene that will be revisited over time as the campaign progresses. It's called The Wire-Bitten Child. A brand new line of fiber optic cable is being installed as part of the ever-expanding network out of Central Glottage. As everyone knows, such endeavors require a deep investment in regional sacrifices. Parked along the side of the road is a line of cargo trucks bearing the prayer stamps of both the Maiden of the Caged Sun, aka the San Electric, and one of her more recent descendants, the Wire-Bitten Child. Massive coils of cable and stacks of freshly painted telephone poles await their ritual installation. Workers in dark goggles and spark-resistant jumpsuits are gathered around a small table and a set of blueprints. Our first time at the Wire-Bitten Child, we have a paint the scene question. Let me clip all this for you all. There we go. The first paint the scene that everybody has to answer. The first pole has been erected and the first few cables are being connected, swinging loosely until secured in place. A single representative of the Wire-Bitten Child is also being raised up on the top of the pole. How can you tell they have been brought here as an unwilling sacrifice? And the recall a time prompt to inspire your role play, Mike and Ben, is, when did you witness your first sacrifice? I think we already heard about Gage's, but maybe there's more to know. I don't know. So you have a lot to think about as a group. You've got paint the scenes, you've got personal connection scenes, you've got personal rituals, you've got clues, you've got other verses to write. It's a lot. And so I'm going to give you plenty of time to get it sorted out. We're going to take a 20-minute break so that you all can ruminate, think, get a drink, do as you want. Consider how you might combine some of these things, combine verses with paint the scenes, etc., etc. And we'll come back and we'll probably spend the rest of the session doing the journey phase. So. I think the way I want to start these journey scenes is by just setting the scene at each place. And so why don't we do the paint the scenes, and then we'll kind of circle back around to the actual journey scenes, or the actual journey moves themselves. So let's start with the Butter Princess. You each get to tell us a little bit about the Butter Princess restaurant. Go ahead, Sarah.
So I'll start with the look of the place. As you pull up, I guess I'm dibsing the car, but as you can see atop what looks like several, it's a reasonable sized diner, but on top you can see kind of a rusted effigy of a cow standing on two legs with one hoof in the air, wearing a tiara and smiling a very big smile with very human teeth.
Is it animated like the Queen doing this?
It's
Like,
doing the little bit
yeah,
of
the little hand thing. Yeah, it's good.
love it. And inside, the cow theme continues, and sticky and stained menus have a black and white border of cow print. There are butter bells on every diner table that are actually shaped like a bell that could go around the neck of a cow. And in the corner, you can see like a little girl must be celebrating her birthday because she's got a plastic tiara on her head with a little like butter.
Love it. That's fantastic. What special is on the menu, Brian?
The little girl celebrating her birthday makes my special so much more gruesome. Oh man, the special that's served at the Butter Princess. There's a communal dining table in the center where the faithful come and share a meal with others. And special is the Terran Share hot buttered pilgrim. It is a live human who's passing through on their way to on a pilgrimage, and on arriving here, thinking they've arrived at a roadside rest stop, the head chef comes to them in a very reverential way and says, "You know, Pilgrim, we're so glad you've made it this far. Your journey has come to an end." And from there, they're carried over to the table, and a big bucket of boiling butter is poured across them. And it's sort of open dining for the people here. And if anybody should approach with a fork and knife, the maitre d' says, "Oh, no, no, here's the Butter Princess. We dine family style, hands and teeth only."
Fabulous. I can't wait to go here myself. What quirky diner tradition do the locals maintain, Mike? Apart from what we've already learned, what quirky traditions are there?
Yeah, we're gonna shift to being a little bit quirkier here. Just a little bit though. For the Scotties out there, when you have a real butter burger, it's like a whole stick of butter that's like done on that burger. We got this boiling butter on this pilgrim as well, and the grease just mixes up with the butter, and you get this weird kind of like brownish, yellowish liquid. And I think every once in a while you see someone take the plate that they have eaten their little bit of what is it, Taranchu, butter pilgrim or butter burger or whatever it is, and they just pour that into their cup of coffee and swirl it around and take a big drink.
Love it. Why did you all go here? What rumors have we heard about the owner of this particular Butter Princess?
The rumor that we've heard is that no one's seen the owner for a very long time. If asked about them, the staff will dodge and say, "Oh yeah, he's a part of the operation here." And the rumor is that he was the very first Terran Share buttered pilgrim.
Just noting that in case it becomes relevant at some point. Let's go back over to the other group, who I guess is not in the car. How are you all traveling, and how do you manage to see this new installation of the Wire-Bitten Child, these fiber optic cables out in central Galottage? Well, we'll figure out how you get there in a bit. Let's paint the scene. The first pole has been erected and the first few cables are being connected, swinging loosely until secured in place. A single representative of the Wire-Bitten Child is also being raised up on top of the pole. How can you tell they've been brought here as an unwilling sacrifice? Everyone gets to speak on that.
Simple start. While the child is quiet now, the screams you heard up the road make a lot more sense now.
As they're sort of hoisting and mounting this person, tethering them to the pole, there's a set of wires running down to one worker who's standing down at the ground and has just a little single toggle switch. And as the person tries to protest, saying, no, no, wait, I'm not ready, there's like a zzz. They're kind of shocked, like, whoa! Each time they protest. Zzz.
I was going to go very simple. Their nails are chipped and broken and showing evidence of their attempts to escape.
And I think I'm going to put Gage and Basil into the scene here. I'm not sure exactly how we got here, but we're walking as we approach this. And
Maybe you got dropped off within like range. of where you
yeah,
need to be.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. And I think Basil is just constantly peppering Gage with questions about grains and preparing them into cereal and candy and sweets and that type of thing, trying to, as he's writing these recipes, and Gage maybe gives him like a candy or whatever to try and shut him up, and he just tastes it and it's like, oh, and keeps on going and asking more questions. But at some point, he's dropping all these papers behind him, and we start coming to a trail of papers. And Gage is getting quieter and quieter as we keep on going, and he starts picking up these papers and he's looking at them, and it's like, climb a mountain, visit the Rijksmuseum, whatever that is in this world. It's a bucket list essentially. This person who has been mounted on this pole was a follower of the Waxen Scrivener. And so you can kind of, I think if Gage looks at Basil, you can even see that he is biting his lip here, that he's like very torn by what he's seeing, knowing that it's a follower of his god that has been mounted on this pole.
How deeply ironic, because as we know about, well, maybe we know, I know about the Waxen Scrivener, is that they detest digital storage mediums, digital communication. And now here they are being sacrificed. This is the Wirebitten Child. The followers of the Wirebitten Child, and indeed the followers of the Saint Electric, giving a great big fuck you to the cult of the Waxen Scrivener, right? Very intriguing indeed. Let's go back to the Butter Princess. The journey move. Scene is yours. Folks, as you're in this delightful restaurant. What's the scene look like? What's going on?
I do not think that Zeph goes into this restaurant. I think it's a bad idea. Can we have our journey scene in the car?
Yeah. You take one look in and you're like, let's not.
Can't stand children's birthdays. That's what it's about, right?
Of course.
Like, oh, they've got a band. That's my number one thing. If a place has a band playing, I turn right the fuck around and leave. I can't stand it.
Yeah. How about this? Maybe we're a bit repulsed by what we see, whether it's the children's birthday party or the pilgrim or something else. Something's off about this place, and so we place a to-go order. And in the idle time, Japheth is gonna kind of meander the parking lot and encounters an empty tin can and starts kicking that kind of idly. But this is his personal ritual, is to kick a can down the road. And in that kind of meditative space of, kick, clunk, 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 can continues, kick, clunk, clunk, clunk. He finds a clue when he does this, right? Am I correct?
You do, yeah. For
Okay,
either
right.
of the assignments, yeah.
So he's kicking it along, and he's kind of at the edge of the parking lot where it meets the road and a major thoroughfare. And this empty can, old, rusted, kind of unmarked, kick, clunk, 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 and hits a newer can that has a very clear label that says White Gull River Canning Company on it.
Oh, okay,
Which
good.
ties into our next.
Yeah, because you're going to the White Gull River. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Somebody will note that for me. What's the rest of the scene look like, Zeph? I mean, we do have to get you guys together.
I think maybe Zeph and Japheth had a few terse words about not wanting, because Zeph doesn't want to eat here. Japheth just has to get something. And so they're just quietly passing this time in the parking lot, really like sulking a little bit.
You hear
And
the
so
like occasional squeal and grind of that animated
Mm-hmm.
cow hoof going left and right, right?
and Zeph is just going to unroll their pack and start pitching a rock across and skipping it off the dirt road and watching it fall into the ditch. And then click, the sound of that rock falling back into their altar, and just keeps tossing it and begins to hum under their breath. You don't think the song has any words. And when your terrible to go order is ready, Zeph will get into the back of the car because does not want to sit with your food.
Sorry, you said does not want to sit with the food? Oh.
Yeah, so you can just leave that up front. I'm not gonna watch you eat any of it. I don't know what possessed you. You'll have to tell Basil all about it, really.
I've got this sandwich if you want this, and I pull up my plastic wrap sandwich that I've had with me for an extraordinarily long time. Got to look at my character sheet to remember how long I've had this. 1 second.
The color
The
of that
saran wrap sandwich that's been there since before I found the vending machine. So
the color of that sandwich reminds Zeph of the moss and spores inside of the truck, and immediately feels dirty. No, man, I'm not hungry. It's fine.
all right, I'll save it for later. You might change your mind. And I'll start unwrapping my delicious butter princess.
Pilgrim to go.
The yeah, like the cute little to-go box, the Princess on the Road.
I don't want to know what the to-go size of the Terran Share Pilgrim is. I really don't. Yeah.
And I don't want to be in the car with it, but here we are.
Look, if you drive while I eat, we'll save time.
Fine. But do not wipe your hands on the seats. Never get the smell out. And Zeph will.
It's like
come around.
Whataburger. If you ever get Whataburger, your car smells like it forever. It doesn't matter. Mere seconds of opening the bag and your car is done for. Like that is it.
It's that grease and butter smell, and it just smells like fat. And Zeph is going to work very hard as they pull out of the lot, I guess, and back onto the dirt road, not to look in the rearview mirror at all while they're just eyes on the road.
Japheth, with his abscessed mouth, tears open the packet of extra butter and squirts it on.
Zeph, you're entitled to clear a condition here. Do you want to make a case for one of these? Like maybe looking in the rearview mirror, confirming you're not being watched. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that I think just standing alone in the parking lot, not alone, but ignoring the heck out of Japheth in the parking lot, I think that time gave Zeph enough, like, there's no one following us, right? That was a solid 20 minutes in which there's no cars going by.
It was all in
fine.
your head. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good. The aloneness. I like it. Yeah, you can clear that. And together you both get to define another clue as well. So be thinking of what that is. And we'll come back to it in a bit. Let's pick up with Basil and Gage walking down the road. Role play.
I think this might be the first time that Basil has seen Gage like just grumpy. Gage is not happy. And he is walking along every now and again. He'll mutter as he limps and winces. and he just digs in his bag, pulls out a small package or something, and just starts munching on a bit of food. And he doesn't even offer Basil anything.
Oh man, not even a taste? Uh, yeah, and I think Basil's mood has changed a little bit too here. And he probably looks to Gage and says, "Sorry if I was peppering you with too many questions."
No, it's fine. No, they took the goddamn car. They left. Look at my leg, man.
Oh, that's right. You're
What kind of
you're hobbling
assholes?
around, aren't you? Um,
Just the Dad. We're supposed to be a team.
We could amputate it, I suppose.
We are not amputating my leg, Basil.
It would hurt less.
No, not yet.
Fair enough.
I am rather attached to it for the time being. But let's just get there. Maybe someone will have something to help.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
there'll be
my
a pox-martyr monk, one who's actually useful.
I know. How come Jack is going to help you?
well, my apologies. I'm a bit more accustomed to cutting things up than mending them together.
And he'll just grunt and hold out the package of crunchy ginger maws, if you
Oh,
might
yeah.
want a bite.
I take a little bite. I think I'm gonna turn to you because we're approaching this telephone or this fiber pole or whatever the case is. I think I'm just gonna ask pretty bluntly, like, what's the first time you saw one of these? You know, just the whole thing. Not this in
The-
particular, but you know.
The electrical pole.
No, the thing on the electric pole cage.
Oh. Oh. Had to be about 3 or 4. Probably saw it before that, but I don't remember.
Was it clean?
Oh, no. No. Never clean. No.
Hmm.
That's how you know it's good. It's accepted. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to put a little bit of effort in. This is almost too clean. It's industrial. It's boring. Safe.
Probably just take a wad of these bucket list items and stick them in your hand and say, blood's not the only messiness though, Gage.
Well, no, but nothing's free. Someone's always got to pay. It's just the way it is.
Cycle, isn't it? You know,
That's right.
my first time was my younger sister's birth. She don't follow the wax and Scrivener anymore. She follows this fucker. Uh, you know, when I don't know if it's true for every wax and Scrivener commune or just ours. When a child's born, parents will write down all their hopes and dreams for that child on a piece of paper, drop them on the floor. When I was there, I was holding my grandmother's hand. Didn't quite realize what was going on at the time, but she was writing all of her regrets, all of her missed opportunities, dropping those in the same place that all those hopes and dreams were getting dropped. I remember looking up at her, just like that. Butcher knife in her chest, broke her rib cage, split it right in two. She fell over. It's my little sister's coming out. And messy, like you say. Blood just soaking up on all those hopes, dreams, regrets. Right there on the floor. It's a cycle. I don't like it though, Gage.
Just on the floor like that. Awful mess.
It's how the Scrivener likes them.
I don't think it much matters whether we like it or not. We just do what we do. What other choice is there?
And Basil starts taking notes again. And they're recipes that involve the ginger chews. And he's dropping them behind him.
You don't want to hold on to. How are you going to make it? Going to forget all about.
A little bit of sweetness is the flavor that this world needs, don't you think?
Oh, well, I got a little bit of that. You want to try some of these little flavor bombs?
Love a flavor bomb right now.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, we got a crab apple, and we'll go through his. This is actually just crab apple. Looks like I ate all the satsuma.
I don't know if I've ever had a crab apple chew.
Your lips are going to purse so tight they'll turn inside out.
I will pluck one of those and toss it in.
Fantastic.
Just don't bite down; you'll break a tooth.
Let's take a look at conditions that might have got cleared here. Sever de Viande, I'm assuming, is the one you're clearing,
Yep.
Basil.
You gotta get rid of that taste to me.
And Gage, nauseated, I gather.
Yep.
Okay, very good. And you both get to also define a clue that you see on the road for either assignment, or a clue that can be applied to the assignment of your choice. And I want to check back in with Zeph and Japheth because you all owe me a clue as well.
So while Zeph is continuing to talk at Japheth while Japheth licks his fingers, just telling him how completely disgusting this car is going to smell for days, we see a Gloucester cop car speeding down the road and
Gloucester,
passes
yeah.
ahead of us. Oh, thank you.
That's your clue, the cop car?
Yeah.
Nice. Go ahead and note that. At this point, if anyone has any other verses they want to write, we can do that now. We actually do have a little bit of time left in the session, so we'll probably go into the investigation phase for a little bit. So you still have some time to do any verses that you want to do. But if anybody has any that they want to do, now would be a great time. And then whenever you have that clue ready, Basil and Gage, let me know.
I've got a quick question. On the character keeper, there's a little box that you can mark when you're on the journey move. What is it enabling or disabling on the character keeper?
Whether you are interacting with the journey move, it gives you a nice little yellow strip above. It will highlight any moves that are affected, and it will pop you into the sidebar.
Fancy.
I think only Japheth is currently with a move that
Yeah,
does that.
yeah. Pass on to me or whatever the move is
Got
called.
it. Yeah, very slick.
Fabulous. Who has the first they want to write? Anybody? So nope. In that case, Basil and Gage, any thoughts on this clue?
We think we found something written on one of those pieces of paper that the sacrifice had left that says, "See the three suns above this planet."
Oh, very good. Go ahead and add that to the. Is that for Hungering Roots or?
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Fantastic. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and reintroduce the floating market assignment, just so that we're all kind of reminded of what's going on there. Then we'll take a short break and we'll come back and we'll do a scene or two of investigation phase. But for the floating market, fragments of black market divinities have been appearing among the goods sold at the floating market, a free-for-all bazaar that gathers at abandoned docks and fishing piers along the White Gull River. While such gatherings have generally happened under the radar of local authorities, or under the radar of the local authorities, the custodians have been informed that the goods arriving along the river represent an increasing danger to the inland population. The Bureau report flatly states that the nature of the divinely afflicted wares being sold are not something that can be left to the Greater Glottage Police to handle alone, given a surge of recent corruption investigations. And we have established that there are multiple factions in play here at the floating market. This is an assignment and a location and a place of great interest to probably multiple actors here. And you do have a question here for your purposes, which is which illegal product represents the most serious danger to the public? That will help you focus your investigation. And you've found a couple of clues, so that's great. I don't know if your custodians realize their clues yet, but as players, we certainly do. I think, it's going to be nighttime by the time Zeph and Japheth arrive at the floating market, which is when the floating market is active. And so I'm curious, before we go on our little break, what is your general approach here, Zeph and Japheth? Like, are you just going to walk up to the first stall you see, or are you going to try to like scope the place out first? Like, what are we thinking here?
Can you give me a sense of scale? Like, is this
Yeah.
3 city blocks or 100 city blocks?
No, what it is, it's actually like a series of barges and boats tied together and strung together, and you walk between them. In total, it's probably about, I don't know, a couple dozen vendors.
Gotcha.
I think Zeph is going to do what Sarah knows is the farmer's market technique. I'm going to do a loop first.
Okay, yeah, good. I like that. We like a loop. Japheth, what's your approach?
I gotta admit, I got a little bit of a buttery aftertaste in my mouth. So is there anybody serving like a sample cheese platter that I can try out?
I can help you out with that. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I can get you to a vendor of that sort. Let's check in with Basil and Gage. Basil and Gage, I will tell you that generally speaking, when you arrive in this district where this assignment is located, a couple of things, big picture, to be aware of and to help focus your investigation. Essentially, what we have here at Hungering Roots is we have what is essentially oh, one second. Where are we at? Oh, I have managed to clip a wrong thing somehow. Hold on. I don't know how I did that. We have like a set of like tenement buildings, a little like kind of block of tenement houses, which is where the workers at this warehouse, this hydroponics grow shop, where it is at. The workers from that place like kind of live there, and it's very nearby. It's also the tenements also represent the people who are probably most in danger from the harvest god like breaking free of its confines. And then we have the actual facility itself, which is essentially like a large warehouse that has been adapted to become this grow facility, right? So big picture, that's sort of what this is all about. That's kind of what's going on around here. So what do you think, Basil?
I mean, I think Basil is very interested to get a little bit closer to this psychotropic tea itself. So I don't know if there would be like a I don't know, like a tea house in the area, or maybe like it's like a warehouse shop or store or something like that, where I can kind of get hands on. And if that's just going in and asking for a tour, and saying, "Hey, I'm from Bias," like not, a casual
Yeah.
like, "Hey, do
Yeah.
you offer tours?" But
Yeah.
coming in and saying like, "Hey, there's an investigation going on. You have to give me access." Yeah, whatever the case is, but that's kind of what I'm
That's what
leaning
you're kind of
toward.
interested in. Yeah, I like it. Okay, that helps me out. Gage, what do you think?
I was thinking maybe using his injury as a pretense to get into the tenement building. Maybe someone will be
Help you
more
out.
generous than
Yeah.
others who will remain unnamed.
Very good. I love it. Okay. I think I can work with that on all accounts. So let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We'll do a scene or two, and then we'll wrap up our session. I think I want to start with the tenement building first, actually. These crumbling tenements are teetering apartment buildings linked by rusty fire escapes and clotheslines. Abandoned vehicles and construction materials litter the alleyways, and weeds stretch tall from cracked sidewalks. It is early in the evening. Let's paint the scene. What innovations of the locals help them to survive in this hostile environment?
Remind me, the environment's hostile because of the harvest god or not yet?
No, just because it's like such a junky apartment building.
Oh, understood.
I think we can see repurposed clotheslines and pulley systems moving between different buildings as the residents help each other by passing things along when they're needed.
I think there's big
Yep.
rain barrels just attached to the outside of the building that you can then see are connected into the plumbing.
I don't think that there's much in the way of locks and bolts. So you would be able to see like intricately tied rope trying to like each door has their own kind of personalized style of how to do it to try and protect their belongings.
There's a few places where the fire escapes have rusted so badly they're like hanging off by one bolt and clearly not functional. And in those places, they have strung clotheslines that are kind of double lined with like a rope ladder system so that in an emergency they could just like pop it, drop the rope, and climb down their own clothesline to escape.
Was that everyone? I think I can actually help both of you, Basil, with your approaches to this, um, by saying that as you kind of like walk up, you see the tenement buildings, you see across the way the warehouse where they have this harvest god captured. But at the tenements, you see here in the early evening, you see a young man wearing a colorful scarf, has a messenger bag, shaved head. You can see him going to different doors, different apartments, knocking. Someone answers. He goes into his bag and pulls out something. He appears to be like an errand runner or a delivery boy of some sort because he pulls out like food and drinks and things like that and gives them to the residents. And also, he seems to know everyone, He's like, oh, hey, Mrs. Morel, how's it going? And, da 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 da, and so forth. He hollers at a kid who's playing in the courtyard. Hey, Lucas, that kind of thing. Like he kind of knows everybody. He might also have some of this weird tea. So, yeah, what do the two of you do?
If Basil doesn't, I think Gage would kind of flag him down and say, "Hey, pal."
He's like, hey, um, oh, do I have an order for you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Must have slipped my mind. I don't think we talked. Did we?
Oh, it might not have been a pre-order, but yeah, we're from the bureau.
The Bureau.
Biased.
Um,
Yeah,
look,
not many people have heard about it, but we get orders. They're covered. It's all good.
I uh, I just, I just deliver sandwiches to people who live around here. I don't know anything about anything else.
It's not the sandwiches that we have an order for.
Oh, right. Cool. Gage, I think he sees your injured leg. He's like, "Oh, are you okay?"
Uh, no, no, I am not.
You know,
It
I might
was
have some ointment for that here. Miss Morel always places an order for some ointment. I was just getting ready to drop it off for her, but I'm sure she wouldn't mind sharing.
well, that would be mighty kind of you. I I would be happy to perhaps share something that you could deliver to the residents here, brighten some days.
Oh yeah?
Have you heard of Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth's new Scone Away?
While he's
Ooh.
doing this, he is surreptitiously like no one can see him, though you can both obviously well see him, and Basil, you can definitely see him because he's handing you a bottle of the illicit tea.
Ooh.
You know, like behind his back, like take it. You know, do you take it?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm. It is it's a tea that's Third Eye brand of tea.
Mm.
Open up your third eye to the
Mhm.
gods, that kind of thing, right? He's like, sorry, what was it again? Scone, uh,
Sconaways.
here
They,
today, scone tomorrow. What was it?
no, no. Too Far Scone was one of the names we tested out, but it didn't quite work.
Oh, got it. Um, uh, yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. Let me see what you got. I mean, I'm always looking for new product lines. You know, new avenues of revenue.
Oh, of course, an entrepreneur, and he'll
Well,
open
you
his
know, I do what I
bag.
can. Oh, by the way, my name's Taj Siddiqui. He goes to shake your hand.
Good to meet you. I'm Gage Wright.
Cool. You seem like a you seem like you seem like a good guy. I'm a pretty good gauge of character.
I haven't heard that one before.
Have you not? Hmm.
No, absolutely, I have you. Uh,
Hmm.
Here, and he'll pull out some prepackaged scones that
Hmm.
are very, very small and dense.
Okay. He's like, great. Well, what can I do for you in exchange for this bounty?
That ointment would be,
Oh, right, the
if
ointment.
it's
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, the ointment. Here we go. All right. And he kind of gives you some ointment to kind of help you with your leg. Um, are you triggering a move by giving him these scones?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, my one bite is never enough.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's take a look at that and remind ourselves how it works. One bite is never enough. Um, everyone loves a treat. Roll with presence or vitality. Go ahead.
With is this presence or vitality?
Mm, I
Probably
think probably
presence.
presence, yeah.
Yeah, that would be an 8.
Hmm. He is put at ease by your cheerful demeanor. Any follow up rolls during interactions with them are taken at advantage. On a 7 to 9, however, they will aid you but demand something in return. The keeper will describe what it is. Oh, that's pretty good. Um, he says, Yeah. So you seem, he's like eating the scones, you know. He's like, you both seem like pretty cool dudes. You said you work for Biased.
Without the E, it's a little confusing. Just yeah, it might be
Yeah.
easier to look up on the internet that way.
Yeah, cool.
What?
I've heard that that is not the kind of gig that you sort of like walk in and apply for, that you sort of get told that you're going to be unbiased.
Yeah, yeah. So there's no ingredients printed on this bottle. Um, that could be a fine when it comes down to it, but I'm willing to let that slide in this situation. If you
I
could
didn't
point
realize
me
that
in the
was in biased jurisdiction, but I'm
uh,
learning so much today.
a little bit of everything, that's what we've got a certain bias, and that's the way that we roll. But yeah, could you just point me to whoever might know what's in this bottle?
Well, actually, as it turns out, that kind of, well, since we're all just, we're just three cool dudes who just want to help each other out with things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just sitting here in the
Yeah.
courtyard eating scones and drinking
Yep.
tea. I actually have been trying to make something of an intimate connection with a local here. Her name is her name's Gail. She actually works at the warehouse where they harvest the
Oh.
ingredients for that tea you're so interested in.
Oh.
And I'm thinking if the two of you help me increase my intimacy with Gail, then maybe she can tell you some things you want to know about what's going on over there.
Now, by intimacy, is this a Roxanne situation, a Cyrano
I don't know what that
Bergerac
means.
situation?
I don't know what either of those things mean because those are from other universes. But I, but I do think it's a sort of like, yeah, like I want to make a love connection, but I'm not good at this kind of thing.
Got it.
And you're both two cool, friendly dudes.
Yeah, we can put in a
Couple-
good word with Gail.
Couple of government conscripts, who doesn't want to hang out with people like that?
We don't like the word conscript. I prefer I was voluntold.
Voluntold. It's clever. It's good. Yeah. These scones are a bit dense, but tasty.
I lean
Yeah,
over to
that's,
Gage and just kind of whisper, "Are you at all bothered by how cool he thinks we are?
He's right.
I've seen the two of us. I've seen you a lot. I've seen myself in a mirror. I'm not
says-
confident."
In my defense, I've been saying cool with scare quotes around it. I just didn't do the scare quotes.
Oh, the scare quotes. Right. All right. Feeling like you're a cool guy. I don't know why this Gale wouldn't want to have
That's what I
intimacy
keep
with-
saying.
How old is Taj, by the way?
He's probably like 19, 20. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can talk to Gail for you. Put in some good words. Help you out a bit. That's what we do.
Cool. Awesome. I love it. Look at us. And he kind of puts his arms around the two of you.
So,
Cheers, eh?
Hey. Do you drink the tea?
Oh, of course. I
Interesting.
feel like you don't even need to ask that question about
No,
Basil.
no, I like it. It is a psychotropic tea.
It is.
Let's do the veiled move for now. What do you afraid is going to happen if this goes poorly?
Oh, I'm going to be the one who tries to develop an intimacy with Gale.
Oh no. God, I hope Gail just doesn't let you guys in at all.
Me too.
Gail just says, no, we're done. I'm tired of you losers. Fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and get dice on the table. It's going to be with vitality.
That's a straight roll. Oh god. It's a 4.
It's a 4. Hmm. Okay. I think your mind is starting to expand. Your third eye is opening. Everything is becoming a little fuzzy on the edges. And then we see coming out of one of the upper floor apartments an older woman wearing a kind of hippy dippy dress with lots of pockets, hair loose, smoking a cigarette. She takes a drag. She gives a wave to Taj. And Taj says, "Hi, Gail," really quietly. "And I think you also." She steps out like she is the maiden of the caged sun herself. She is an embodiment of the sacred flame. She is the Saint Electric. You are feeling the electric in your body as you look at this blessed woman smoking a cigarette, looking down into the courtyard. And young Taj, who's way too young for her, says, "Isn't she great?"
And I do think she's great, but I'm going to snap 2 by marking a verse of prophecy.
Ah, interesting, interesting. I think we'll just end that session, that scene there with you all. Zeph Harrow, give me just a information move with probably
Well,
insight.
how about yeah, so in the loop, what Zeph is doing is making note of all of the people who have set up their boats in like the official floating
Mhm.
market, but what Zeph is doing is walking around it looking for anybody selling shit on the outskirts.
I love it. Yeah, good. Yeah, I think insight is good here.
All right. Thankfully, not a 4. That is 6 plus 2 is 8.
So I owe you a clue. Japheth, you find yourself at one of the stalls, the Salt and Smoke Floating Grill, which is an aging catamaran with a charcoal grill and various soup pots mounted between the hulls. Old flags from commercial farm deities hang loosely, the chitterling, the toothed egg, the butter princess, but clearly none of those brands are being served here. Let's paint the scene, everyone. What modifications are in place that allow all food products to be rapidly disposed of in case of emergency?
I feel like I missed one word. What blank allows food products
What
to be
modifications are in place
modifications?
that allow all food products to be rapidly disposed of in case of emergency?
I think that they have repurposed fishing nets, and that's strung out. All of the stalls have like essentially hammocks displaying their wares, and you could just pick it up by 2 loops, toss it in the river behind you.
You know the fictional nature of piranhas of like they all kind of like swarm in and stuff's just gone. There's a tank in here that's actually just a tank full of a lot of really aggressive shrimp. And it's one of those things that it's meant for you to say like I'll have that one and they're gonna pull out that shrimp, but also they can just flip something into that tank and the shrimp just pounce on it.
There's a big tank attached to the ceiling, like a oil drum or gas tank kind of thing, as opposed to like a glass tank, and it's labeled Our Lady of the Absent Ink. And what this is it's bleach sprinklers so that the entire area can be doused in this like divine bleach to just wipe every like living bit away, bit of crud or whatever.
I was actually thinking bottles of bleach under each repurposed fishing net. But I think as well, there is, in the case of an extreme emergency, there is what is essentially a giant plug on the floor of the boat that can be just pulled out and the whole thing will just sink down.
There is a vendor there, a chef wearing a stained apron, has lank and thinning hair, a very greasy odor and toothy grin. A notable collection of wards and charms hanging from her neck and from the rigging, in addition to all these other defensive mechanisms we've discussed. Her name is Mog Squamous, and she says, Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Salt and Smoke. We've got Godflesh bites, here for your consumption. Don't settle for none of those branded restaurants. This is the real deal, locally imported. I guess you could say it's an acquired taste, but once you try something that's so full of divine life, you'll never go back to supermarket meat.
Indeed, this sounds so much more filling than what I had for lunch.
Filling for the belly and filling for the soul.
Oh, it's interesting you should mention that. That's the very thing that I'm seeking. It's in fact why I came here.
She shows you the various dishes. Godflesh bites come in several varieties. Gleaming, pearlescent, and segmented, still writhing in a bowl of steaming broth. Sizzling and crackling with internal radiance on a cooling plate. Sprouting crunchy green shoots and tender fungal blooms in shades of pink and violet. Most curiously and interestingly, spinning in a mason jar of fragrant smoke like a miniature dust devil. Very, very like, very avant-garde, almost haute couture or haute cuisine, sort of.
Anytime you add smoke.
Yeah. What's your pleasure?
Oh, well, Mog, I'm Japheth, by the way. I travel around a lot, and there's a lot of things that I've seen and indulged in, but this looks like an appetizer for a bigger picture. I'd love to try a few of these little god bites, but while I'm snacking on those, can you kind of point me towards other things this market might offer a traveling, well-meaning student of the divinities?
Make the information move with presence. I don't think your conditions will affect you. You can just roll with regular dice.
All right. Oh, 3.
It feels like a good place to leave the session.
Dice are terrible today.
Making a note for myself. Japheth just got a miss talking to Mog Squamous. Zeph is looking around and has earned a clue mid-result. And Basil and Gage are theoretically about to help Taj with Gale and his puppy love. So we'll see how that goes. Let's do end of session. Collect rewards if an assignment was resolved. An assignment was resolved. And so let me clip these here and paste them in the chat. I will read them aloud for folks who are watching. Your rewards. A fragment of writhes beneath the loam, content to slumber in a jar of dirt for now. Add it to your altar. An old but serviceable birch and bone hunting rifle and half a box of ammo. Add it to your altar. An antique oil lantern that emits only shadow, which appears as a soft blue light to the one who carries it. Add it to your altar. A useful tool abandoned by the skeletons. Describe it and then add it to your altar. Or a memento from the investigation. Ask another custodian to describe it, then add it to your altar. Who wants what? You're also all getting a move too, which we'll talk about in a moment.
I think the writhes beneath the loam is the most edible, so I'll take that.
Oh, please let that be your guiding principle for all our rewards.
Can I eat it?
Zeph will take the gun if no one wants it.
Has that family tractor been abandoned by the skeletons?
You want a tractor? Well, I mean, they are not working the land anymore, so I think
Take
that's
it.
I think that's legit. Yeah.
I kind of want somebody to give me something that ties into Sister Coral, but I don't. If anybody's got an idea otherwise, I can take that blue lantern. But
I can give you oh, I got it. Sister Quarrel, in a way, you were responsible for helping her reestablish her connection with Dennis Rigsby, even though I'm not sure Dennis deserved it, but never mind, that's neither here nor there. In exchange, she gives you her fingerless leather gloves, on the knuckles of which are embroidered on one fist, love, and on the other fist, love.
that's fantastic.
You also all get a move too, because you chose to answer the harder question. The move is called the Dusk Mother's Embrace. If somebody wants to put this in the appropriate space on the character keeper, please do. Everybody can do it. When you use a prayer mark to call upon the angel that watches over wild and lonely places, state the thing you seek protection from and roll with communion. On a hit, a veil of twilight feathers envelops you and obscures you from immediate danger. Then, on a 7 to 9, choose 1. On a 10 plus, choose 2. The options are: you learn something useful about the danger that threatens you. The keeper will tell you what it is. You are soothed by the mother's embrace. Change an existing condition to embrace of the mother, or add this condition if you have no conditions. And the third option is nothing is asked of you in return. Let's answer end of session questions. Did you all complete an assignment? Yes, everyone gets credit for that. Everyone also has the question, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation? Zeph, yes, you did. Japheth, I believe you did also. I mean, you all kind of did with the angel, but I don't know. Maybe not directly. I don't know.
Can I ask a quick question there? In the sense that one of my, oh my gosh, they're called faith, mark of faith, verse of history, I'm sorry. The verse of history, I referenced a god, but that was sort of past tense.
It's okay. Yeah, past tense works. That's what happened. That's what I remember. I gave Ben credit for that one from last time.
Got it.
Yeah. That'll counts. Basil, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation?
I'm assuming at some point with the slurry, I would have fed the
Oh, I think
angel.
so. Yeah, I think it all kind of, yeah, it was all a little bit off screen, but I think it counts. Um, Gage, did you?
Between not letting the angel get shot and also
Oh,
making
true.
the
Yeah.
sacrifice for
Yeah.
his family god.
Zeph, did you deliver a monologue about any of the following? The nature of gods, the futility of individual choices in the face of indifferent powers, the horrors that society accepts as good and necessary?
Had a monologue all planned, but unfortunately, the takeout situation
Oh, no.
threw Zeph for a loop.
Did you struggle with your personal faith?
Always, but not out loud today.
Hmm. Japheth de los Santos, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
Tried to with the scene with Dennis in the diner.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. Did you deliver said monologue?
No, forgot to do my recall of time during the journey thing. I had one planned
yeah,
and away it
yeah.
went. Butter Princess was distracting.
Yeah, there was a lot going on with the Butter Princess. Basil, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
I got so unlucky with these questions. I just picked the wrong assignment, apparently,
Yeah, I
because
know.
that would have
You
been
did.
very off track in the floating market.
I think
I think
so.
it's a no for both of these.
Yeah, did you undermine the orders? Yeah, I think you're probably right. Gage, did you undermine orders of superiors or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
Trying to get his prayer marks around Weft.
Oh,
from
yeah. Hmm.
Omen.
Were you vulnerable with someone?
I'm hoping his displeasure at the way Japheth and Zeph abandoned him with his poor leg to
Oh.
complaining about it with Basil.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, fantastic. Resolve any moves that are resolved at the end of session. I don't think we have any. And verse prompts. Does anybody have a verse prompt they want to do?
I do.
Go ahead.
This is the verse of the Dusk Mother one. This I forget exactly what it's called. Um, I think this is I think Basil's been working for Biased for a while now, a few years, I would almost say, if that's okay. And I think it's a previous investigation or assignment where this pops up. Basil's sort of standing in front of a giant industrial pizza oven. We had been investigating the Dough King dressed in Grandma's marinara, a bloody pizza god, and a dozen people or so had been baked. Sorry, Brian. A dozen people or so had been baked inside this oven while we were on the assignment. We were not able to solve it fast enough, but we did. It was a fairly effective assignment. Otherwise, the Dough King is dead, at least to our knowledge. But I think that that's also sticking with Basil in that there's 12 dead bodies that were sacrificed to this god that's now been destroyed or banished or whatever the case is. And he's standing there and staring at this oven with these bodies inside. And he steps inside the oven and closes the door on himself and is completely in darkness here, just lying on one of the racks. And he's there, he's just thinking, kind of meditating, maybe remembering some of these other moments that he's been talking about. And he's sort of fiddling with a knife. And at some point, he takes the knife and he looks next to him. And there's one of these roasted people. And he takes the knife and cuts into the leg and takes a bite. And you can see just the gears going on inside of his head. And he pulls out a scrap of paper and in the darkness, maybe lights, he's got a little flashlight or whatever the case is, and lights it up. And you see him write human flesh, boiled butter. And he's writing the recipe for the tearaway butter pilgrim and drops it into the bottom of the oven.
Nice. I like it. Very good. Are there any more? In that case, I think that takes us to stars and wishes. So whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Actually, before I do my stars and wishes, just a small. I got enough XP to take a faith move, and so I think when we see Gage roll up his pant leg to apply the ointment, he pauses for a second as he sees under the torn skin, just above the exposed bone, there's something green growing there, like a shoot. And stars and wishes, this was a great session. I feel like this is the first time things really started to come together for our group. We got a handle on our characters. We're seeing more of their history. It felt really, really good to see everything come together. The responses and prompts were so good, often very gross. Brian, big, terrible star for the tear and share buttered pilgrim. It's awful. I hate it so much. And I really loved how Zeph reacted to the whole diner and just that distaste. So good. Basil trying to being vulnerable with Gage and letting some of his concerns about the way this world works out was such a good moment, and Gage is just a smiling blank wall that had nothing to give other than yep. The I really liked actually getting to see a journey scene and seeing how that worked, getting those in play. I'm looking forward to more of that, and I want to see more diners.
I really love this session. Star for everyone's the verses were across the board really, really good. And I'm really enjoying learning about these characters, where they come from, what motivates them. It's just so fascinating. And the storytelling that's happening already just inside of 3 sessions is really, really terrific. And I'm just so delighted. And it's such a pleasure to see. And I really just got to be kind of an audience member today for the most part. So that was really fun to kind of like just sort of watch you all do your thing. I was very, very pleased and delighted, and it made me feel really, really happy about being with this group. You know, we have role played so much together, and I think that like the dividends of that is we're able to take our storytelling into some really, really cool places. Though I do think that the game helps a lot as well. But certainly everyone, the two combined is doing great things at the table. It's very, very cool. I have a star that I'm trying to like verbalize like what it is, and but I think I've settled it out in my mind. I loved the Butter Princess set piece because it's something about this world and about this particular moment. There is something about this idea of here is a little roadside diner that thousands of people drive past every week or month or whatever. You know, dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds a day drive past, right? And there's this stupid cow on the roof, and people drive by, and maybe no one thinks twice about what's in there, what's going on. But then when we like briefly glimpse inside, we see this contained, almost private scene of like revolting horror. And there's something super cool about just this like little, like out in the open yet still quite hidden like horror going on. You know, I think it just really says something about this world. It says something about how this world works. It's also very satirical and horrifying. It really, really gives the impression of like, from a sort of vibes standpoint, it really gives the impression of like that movie The Menu that came out a couple years ago. It's very that, but it's also very Midsommar, obviously, because it's Silt versus. it's so good, and I think it kind of is an example of like why the journey scenes are so cool, right? So I just really love that, and I mean, you all did a great job describing everything, but I was just really truly like impressed with the feeling that I got from it, which was great. Um, I thought the resolution was super cool and grotesque, really, really fun. And as for my wish, I'm just really excited to dig into these two other assignments and kind of see where they go and what happens with them. So um, I did not expect Hungering Roots to kick off like it's kicking off. So that's unusual. I didn't know we were getting a weird Three's Company style apartment comedy. So yeah, that's fun. So we'll see how that goes. But with uh, young Taj pining over Mrs. Roper up there. So, yeah.
I do have a star for the diner scene, even though I, as a player, just kept thinking X card in my brain the whole time. I'm like, can I ride this line? Is this going to make me okay? But I think that I made it almost worse by infecting the smell in the car. Like it became more visceral. And I think that that's something really interesting about this setting in general. But it's you don't expect the horror to come from where it's coming from, right? So the things that are horrifying in this environment to us as players are often just everyday occurrences, right? And so I agree with you, Jason. It's really cool. Tiny stars for silly things that I liked during Ben, you're playing Gage with a break a tooth kind of style that I like because of the crunch tooth marketing. All of your hard candies and dense scones and everything that you can just break a tooth on, I think is a really sweet, not to put too fine a point on it, really cool character detail. I liked the piranha shrimp, just the paint the scene detail that was great. I also really liked the eye wash stations of bleach that you added, Mike. That was really great. I really like Zeph. They're bad news, and it's going to be so much fun. The wishes are all just to keep playing this character with you guys. It's awesome.
Sarah, you mentioned the tattoos for your character, and then Mike right after that talked about tattoos, and it got me thinking about like what's the Waxen Scrivener's view on tattoos? Is that permanently recorded information that should be somehow dispensed with? I don't know. So I don't know if that's a wish, but maybe a wish of like somehow we learn more about the Waxen Scrivener's attitude about permanent markings on flesh. What else? Yeah, Mike, the Doe King dressed in marinara killed me. I gotta admit. Sent my
All these
brain spinning in a
repulsive
lot of
food
directions.
gods. God, they're all so horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben the broken leg limping along, saying they took the God's damned car. There was a part where I think we had a break right before the journey scene, if I remember right, and I was thinking, oh yeah, Ben had mentioned maybe wanting to heal up his leg past that condition to me, and I'm really glad that I didn't remind you because it worked out great. Um, I love that green growth in Gage's leg as well. That'll be fun to see how that plays out. Uh, the idea of a bucket list of ideas drifting down from a sacrifice is super gruesome in a really nice way. Um, and what else? Oh, Jason, you said this off camera, but the idea of reaching Keeper Zero, where you just sit back and the players talk, was really a fun concept. Like, just play. I'm just gonna be here. Um, and then also, I'm glad that you took my little conversation with Dennis and brought Sister Coral and Dennis back together. It's kind of cute to see that little sort of echo. I think that's it. Oh, and Ben, all your details on your verses are amazing.
Little stars for me. I just Brian, well, I guess first, Jason, for playing to your audience and picking Butter Princess as the diner, and even the diner scene, like I love roadside diners and that type of thing. So, and yeah, it feels like everyone who plays Distilled Versus loves diners. There's just, it's a weird connecting point.
I mean, the
Um,
first journey scene in the show is in a diner, right? So,
yeah,
I mean,
yep.
yeah.
And then Brian, just for like just upping the stakes on that paint the scene and no holds barred, just going at it, which set I think ups the tone a little bit of what we're doing, or quite a bit in what we're doing, and kind of setting the stage for that. The On the other side, just a star for Ben for like bringing up the leg. Like that, it's always that moment that like kind of is getting like underplayed or forgotten with the mechanics and the momentum of the narrative and that type of thing. But for you to just like pick that up on the character and just like roll with it.
I was star for that
Um,
too because it was a great way of like reminding us of something we shouldn't have forgotten about
yes.
while doing it in a way that's like really funny. Like it was really, really funny. Yeah.
Yep. Um, my like a star for the game, I'm just enjoying like pulling these threads together and like building on these different stories and looking at the prompts that I know are coming and sort of like, yeah, like I kind of I'm not great in the moment, but I like plotting a step or two ahead and then seeing how the narrative emerges and that type of thing, which I think was a really fun thing about this session. And then my /wish on Sarah's part is very much a wish, and it is my wish is that I know it's not going to be cannibalism, but for Zeph to like consume with the rest of us. Every other character is all about eating things and weird things and that. And Zeph, it's
Things going into
interesting.
mouths.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And Zeph is like very just like, nope, don't want any part of any of that. Like, please step away. So my wish is to see
Yeah, I
how
wonder if
Zeph.
there's a reason for
Yeah, I'm thinking this
um,
campaign is the one that should have been called "A God Must Feed," right? Because we're getting all the like feeding imagery in this one. Yeah.
it is strong on that. And then tied into that, like my wish is that I find a way to go against orders and the assignment and just get my ass over to the salt and smoke and munch on some godflesh because
You
I
just
want
like
to know.
I like the idea of like you immediately engaging the journey phase next time. Just
If I
leaving.
had some way to know that if the character could know that
Smell it
that's
on
what
the
they
air.
came across, it would definitely happen. Like 100%. Taj is professing his love to Gale, and I just ditch. But yeah,
Oh, I have a wish as well. I'm excited to get the Sketteriches more involved as in all the stuff that's going on, our conspiracy, kind of getting deeper with that. So yeah, which is a note for me more than anything, but worth saying. Anything else? Okay, in that case, let's wave goodbye to everybody watching the video. Like the Butter Princess will wave. Yeah.